In a world divided by financial philosophies, where stability clashes with opportunity and security battles freedom, one young seeker embarks on a journey that transcends generations. The book, The Rich Dad, Poor Dad, by Robert Kiyosaki, tells us a story about a boy with two fathers, one rich and one poor, and the lessons he learned from both of them about money and investing. This book helps to develop the mindset and the financial literacy needed to build a life of freedom and wealth. Here is an in-depth summary. Introduction. The book begins with the author introducing his two fathers, his real father, who he refers to as his poor dad, and the father of his best friend Mike as his rich dad. In the book, Kiyosaki explains the different point of views of both of fathers about money and investing, and how he learned valuable lessons from both that further shapes his life. Chapter 1. The Rich Don't Work for Money. In the first chapter, the author emphasizes on the idea that the rich don't work for the money, in fact they make the money work for them. Rich use money as a tool to create more wealth. Rich people and the people who want to become rich work and learn how to put money to work for them. As the rich dad says, the poor and the middle class work for money, the rich have money work for them. He argues that most of the people are trapped in a rat race of working for money, and the key to financial freedom is to learn and understand money and how to make money work for you. The author also describes the two major feelings, that is fear and greed, that makes most of the people to go to the regular jobs, which is a short-term solution for the long-term problem of creating wealth and financial freedom. As the rich dad says, it's the fear that keeps most people working at a job, the fear of not paying their bills, the fear of being fired, the fear of not having enough money, and the fear of starting over. Chapter 2. Why Teach Financial Literacy? Kiyosaki argues that schools don't teach financial literacy, and that is the major reason why most of the people struggle with money, as financial knowledge is the foundation of building wealth. This chapter majorly explains the difference between asset and a liability. An asset is something that has value, that produces income or appreciates with time. Conversely, liability takes money out of your pockets because of the cost associated with them. Kiyosaki thus explained the one's residence isn't an asset, but a liability unless it appreciates enough to cover the costs of ownership. On the other hand, a rental property is an asset, as it generates a passive income. The rich dad suggests to concentrate on buying income-producing assets and keep your liability and expenses low and top-manage money properly. The Chapter 2 drives home the point that it's not about how much money you make, but how much money you keep. Chapter 3. Mind Your Own Business. In this chapter, Kiyosaki explains that the key to financial success is to mind your own business. He argues that most people focus on their job or career, but it is also important to focus on building assets and creating passive income streams. The two most important messages that this chapter delivers is, first, pay off all your debts and start investing in income-producing assets. Second, stay financially healthy by spending most of your time in investing and building wealth. As the rich dad says, the primary reason the majority of poor and the middle class are fiscally conservative is that they have no financial foundation. They have to cling to their jobs and play it safe. They can't afford to take risks. Chapter 4. The History of Taxes and the Power of Corporations. Kiyosaki explains the history of taxes and how they have been used to control people and redistribute wealth. He argues that the corporations have a lot of power, and that is why it is so important to understand how they work in order to create wealth. In the book, Kiyosaki writes about the time he bought a Porsche and treated it as a business expense, using before tax dollars. Putting the Porsche aside, the point that is made in this chapter discusses that how to play the investment and the taxes game smartly. The rich understand the tax system and use legal means to minimize their tax burden and to maximize their profits. Business owners first earn, then spend, and then pay taxes, while on the other than notice that most of the employees first earn, then pay taxes, and then they spend. Thus, the employees who work for someone else spend their money post-tax, while business owners earn and spend before tax. In this chapter, the author also talks about the term financial IQ, which has 4 main components that are accounting, investment strategy, market law, and law. Chapter 5. The rich invest money. In this chapter, Kiyosaki explains that the rich are able to invest money by creating assets and businesses that generate cash flow. Investing money means finding opportunities or deals that other people don't have the skill, knowledge, or resources for. In this chapter, the author explains 2 types of investors. The investment packages are bought by people who entrust their money to a developer or fund manager, such as buying shares of an ETF. The professional investors look after their own investments, research the market to find the deals that are best for them, then hire people to manage their daily oversight. As the Rich Dad says, some of the people argue that there aren't real estate bargains where they are, but there are prime opportunity everywhere that are overlooked. Most people aren't trained financially to recognize the opportunities in front of them. Chapter 6. Work to learn. Don't work for money. Kiyosaki argues that the most important thing is to learn and develop new skills. Poor Dad was intelligent and well-educated and worked hard for money because job security meant everything to him. Rich Dad became a millionaire by working to learn. As Kiyosaki writes, I recommend to young people to seek work for what they will lean, more than what they will earn. Look down the road at what skills they want to acquire before choosing a specific profession and before getting trapped in the rat race. In fact, that what the author himself did, he joined the Marines and learned the essential business skills of leading and managing people. Later, he joined Xerox and became one of the top 5 salespeople in the county, then left the corporate world to begin his own business. This chapter, he also talks about the synergy of management skills needed for success: cash flow management, systems management, people management. Chapter 7. Overcoming obstacles. Chapter 7 begins by nothing. The primary difference between a rich person and a poor person is how they manage fear. In the book, the fear the author is talking about is the fear far of losing money and how to handle that fear. The 5 biggest obstacles people face on the path to become financially independent are fear, cynicism, laziness, bad habits, arrogance. These roadblocks and the failure to become them are they people who have studied and achieved financial literacy are still unable to develop assets that generate plentiful amounts of cash flow. Kiyosaki tells that it is important to have strong mindset and be persistent in the face of adversity. Chapter 8. Getting Started. In the Chapter 8, Rich Dad, Poor Dad tells us that there is gold everywhere. Most people are not trained to see it. We are trained from a very young age to work hard for someone else, spend money that weben, and if we run short of money, then borrow some. Unfortunately, people who become a part of the masses never take the time to develop their financial genius. Kiyosaki explains that one should first learn to put focus on 3 financial education, and that is important to start small and build momentum over time. Chapter 9. Still want more? Here are some to-dos. In this chapter, Kiyosaki puts all the important lessons of the book together into a checklist of actions which are 1. Stop doing what you're doing by taking a break and assessing what is and isn't working. 2. Look for new ideas by finding resources on different and unique subjects. 3. Find a mentor who's been where you're going, take them to lunch, and pick their brain. 4. Always be learning by taking classes, attending seminars, and reading. 5. Make lots of offers, always with escape clauses, because eventually someone will say yes. 6. Spend 10 minutes each month for the next 12 months walking, running, or driving a certain area and looking for changes that create bargains. 7. Shop for real estate deals when the market corrects, because profits are made when buying, not when selling. 8. Learn how, when, and where to buy by investing in your education. 9. Think bigger to get richer, because small thinkers don't get the big breaks. 10. Most people only look for what they can afford, so buy a bigger pie and cut it into pieces by finding a buyer first, then a seller. 11. Negotiate volume discounts by thinking big, pooling people together, and buying in bulk. 12. Read and learn from history, because history always repeats itself. 13. Action always beats inaction. At last, as the rich dad always said, the single most powerful asset we all have is our mind. If it is trained well, it can create enormous wealth in what seems to be an instant. Stop blaming me and thinking I'm the problem. If you think I'm the problem, then you have to change me. If you realize you are the problem, then you can change yourself, learn something, and grow wiser. For more such content, like, share, and subscribe.